I would have to argue that she's both.
I mean, of course she's both.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, the show didn't recognize that.
No, I just said the other me says that.
Oh,
I'm
gotcha.
agreed. No, she cannot be smart and sexy at the same time.
Okay. Let's get back on track. I mean, I really actually like this, that we're just bouncing around and lots of really good conversation. But we sort of, before, Troy starts, talking to Riker 2 as sort of, I don't know, a possible romantic interest before she gets her notes leading her places, or tells him, sorry, not sorry, I like how my life is here. She goes to visit him to kind of see if maybe he'll help them get this data that they need off of this ship, because, of course, it's a mission. They gotta have a mission. And, so then he's really happy to see her, because he's like, I haven't seen you in forever. You're still fine, girl, And, she has to tell him that her and regular Riker are friends, just friends now. And so, of course he's probably excited about that. But, and that's when she tells him about Risa, how Riker 1 didn't show up because he's too ambitious. But a thing, this is what we see Riker 2 here, is cleaned up, and he's wearing a new yellow uniform, and he has his hair parted on the side, whereas Riker 1 does not. So not only is the uniform telling you which one's which, also the hair. As if you can't tell by the way they act, because it's really kind of cool, I think, to see Jonathan Frakes actually creating two different characters of the same person. I don't know, there's still a young sort of feeling, happy-go-luckiness, a little bit I'm gonna be a captain by the time I'm 35, like he says later, kind of feeling in Riker 2, because he's not been hardened by all of this fast moving up the ladder and all that kind of thing. It's like he's not. I'm gonna probably zap myself, but he's not as much of a hard ass as he is, especially in this episode. And he's not always like that, especially with ladies. But we just to show that he's sort of like a completely different person, but not a completely different person, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think he kind of put it over the top a little bit just to show the distinction between the two Rikers. Mm-hmm. He did a good job of acting two different characters. Mm-hmm. It just was out of character for me a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we can just skip part of this, because all it is they go back down, and then that's when we see Mae Jemison, our real astronaut here, and they come back because the Rikers are fighting with each other, and and that's one of the ways that we can see that they're, in that 8 years, that's where they've split off and become different people. They have, the Riker 2 is still a little more riskier, and I can do this, let's do this, and Riker 1 is like, no, and it's like you can kind of see he gets mad because he defies himself, but I totally agree that we should have had a more Riker 1 kind of say something like, I can't believe I was so obstinate, or you know what I mean? He needs something, or oh, how does anybody get along with me? Something, not just necessarily Worf and Data. So, whatever. It's fine.
Well, I think, the reason why that, like, Riker 1 just, I mean, you think about how their life has diverged so much, right? Like, Riker 2 never had to face the Borg.
Right.
Riker 2 didn't have to potentially give the order to kill his captain when he was Locutus.
Yep.
Riker 2 didn't live through all the experiences that Riker 1 has lived through, and we see how Riker has matured over the years. Of course, that's what experience does to people. It matures them. But Riker 2 has matured in a different way. He's been left to his own devices for 8 years. He had to jury rig. He had to basically be MacGyver and, like, make everything on that station work. He was Space MacGyver. Like, he had to do it all by himself. He's not used to taking orders anymore. He's not used to the Starfleet hierarchy, right? He's not used to punching that clock anymore. Like, even Riker says to him in another ancient expression, it's been a while since you had to punch a clock. Oh, I'm glad you still understand that reference in the 24th century.
That didn't even register to me. And I've never had to the only punching of a clock I did is I had to push in buttons, like not even an actual, like, punch card, and I didn't even...
I know, it's hilarious. But, like,
yes,
that
children used to, you would clock into work by using this card, and you'd stick it in a machine, and it's like clunk, so that they know that you were there at that time. And that's punch card. If you hear people say that. I never had to use it. I really can't imagine either one of you had either, right?
I did.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah, you had to line up the little thing on the clock with the little space part on your time card, and
Nice.
I never had to punch a clock, but I certainly know what that means. I've seen others do it. But yeah, like that Riker 2 has had different experiences in his life, and he's a different person. And Riker 1 does not really get it in a certain way. Like, so when Riker 2's telling him, I know these systems inside and out, I'm the one who can do it, Riker 1 is the guy who's learned how to, control his temper and, like, take orders and blah, blah, blah. So it's like, he's a different person. And which is why that they clash so much, in this episode. But again, yes, they do have a brief conversation about it, but it's really just more Riker 1 just being angry at Riker 2 for some reason. So it's like, it's never, like, really expounded on. It's just kind of hinted at.
Yeah.
All right. I liked where you went with that. That was...
Hey.
You're welcome. Do we want to talk any more about Troy and her adventure, or...
I mean, you mean like the scavenger hunt?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're good. Yeah. Unless, Eric, you absolutely have more to say about the scavenger hunt. By all means, please do. You're our guest.
I'm good. I think everybody nailed it on it.
I mean, I did forget to say that he left her chocolates and a flower also, and then this gift he gave her was etching he made with a phaser of a waterfall on the last time they had spent together. And like it's almost, for me, he's almost too, I don't know, into her. It's like, 8 years is a long time to just, pine for somebody. Feel like, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think at that time, Commander Riker was really in love with her and gave it all up because he wanted to pursue his career. I just think we've never seen that portrayed. We've never just seen that portrayed.
That's fair.
By this character. So, like, even when they first meet up again, I mean, she comes in and he is just, he practically pounces on her.
Yeah.
Right? Calls her Imzadi, and he kisses her and he's hugging her.
Whoa.
Yeah, she kind of knew that was probably going to happen, but, like, we've just never seen that behavior from him. So, like, it's like
Riker 1 knew that was going to happen because when she said, she goes, I'll go talk to him, and he's like, huh?
Yeah. No, he totally knew that was going to happen, but like, we just never saw that before from this character.
That's true. I get that.
What's funny is like this episode, it's almost like they needed to add more ridiculous things to do, like throw a MacGuffin in there for them to chase after, and then turn it into 2 parts.
Yeah.
Because they didn't even deal with the psychological breakdown it would cause for a person to be isolated for 8 years, pandering over. I mean, it touches base a little bit about, I just imagined they had a funeral or a memorial for me, and you were there and you were crying. But in reality, like the psychological play in your heads would be like what could have been, what's really going on, how things are going out there right now, and if I ever get back, I want to reconnect with these people, and then just the artificial life that you would recreate in the event that you actually do get rescued.
They had a real Castaway moment before Castaway, and they didn't take it.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
That could have easily been this could have easily been a 2-parter where you just really delve into, the psychological damage done to this person, but instead it's just, down to a 45-minute episode.
Yeah, come on guys, you need to reboot just this episode. Or remake just
back.
this episode. I mean, don't even do any kind of like age regression or anything on anybody. Just film them the way they are now. Who cares?
We'll just all pretend that that's young Riker.
I mean, yeah, right. His hair's not gray. He's not chubbier. Whatever, it's fine. Anyway, so after the scavenger hunt, we see Picard in his ready room drinking Earl Grey tea, of course, and Riker 1 comes in, and Picard's like, "Hey, Riker 2 came to visit me, and he thinks he can take the risk to go underneath this station, even though there's earthquakes or there's planet quakes." They'd probably still call them earthquakes, if they're saying it's been a long time since you punched a time card. Anyway, so he's just like, okay, yeah, that's fine. If that's what you want me to do, I'll go find him. And then he goes and he finds Riker 2 in engineering, and he like roughs him up. He's just like, I told you, you should have taken my order. You went over my head. How dare you? It's like,
Yeah.
Calm down, Riker. It would have been a good time, like, if he had left there and then gone to 10 Forward and got a drink because he was riled up and then talked to Guinan or whatever. Like, there are so many places you could have fit in somewhere where he could have been like, this is the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me, and I travel in space,
Exactly.
It's like my boss was a Borg for a while. I mean, like all kinds of things happen, but this is like the strangest thing to him because it's like broken his mind a little, and it's made him. He was kind of like this when Shelby was, him and Shelby were butting heads like this whenever she was those episode or 2, whatever she was on. Because she's kind of like him. Like they sort of went there on that episode, and this one, it's like just because they are the same person doesn't mean they can't say that I recognize things that were in me that he's cultivated that annoy me now, or, whatever. Like, they could have done that. Come on, Star Trek. Not that we don't like this episode. It's just, this is what we're here for.
I know. I actually like this episode quite a lot.
Right?
It's just, but, that's what we do. We like picking apart a little bit.
A lot bit.
A lot of it, yeah.
In my notes, I said Riker 2 is in engineering when Riker comes in and yells at himself.
That's true, though. He just come in and yell at himself.
Then we get a little bit of girl talk because we see Troy and Crusher doing Makbara. Did I say that right? I can't remember. Okay, I can't remember how it's pronounced, but I just thought that's what it was. So Troy, is filling in Crusher about her scavenger hunt and that they talked in 10 Forward for hours, and, and she's